Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Johanna. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be participating in the Tinseltown coloring hop, and if that is of interest to you, please stay tuned. Okay guys, I am joining Sara, Jamie, and Te-Arnna in this Tinseltown hop. It'll start on November 26th, go all the way through December 3rd, and each of the days, one of us will be posting a video regarding the Tinseltown PDF we purchased from Zoe Adler's shop. All of their channels, the posting schedule, as well as Zoe's shop will be linked down below. None of us are sponsored. We did purchase this on our own. It is a 9-piece PDF set, so it's the 8 pictures that we're each going to be coloring in however fashion we want to and posting a video, and then there's one that has basically a summary or a vignette of all of the different images. And so one of my images that I'll be doing is this one right here. It's called Reindeer Antler Polishing. Now there are still some of this that is undone, but the majority of it is done, and instead of obviously coloring it with you guys, I wanted to do just some quick backgrounds with you guys in this video, and in the second video that I have that will be going up on December 3rd, I'll be showing you some additional touches you can do. So it isn't a coloring video per se, but it does show you some things you can do if you have a coloring page like this that has a lot of white space. Now I could just leave it as this, consider this a finished page. I could just do a stencil background with some distress inks, but I thought I'd add a little bit of interest to this by way of adding just some things in the background of this before I put my distress ink down. And so I've got a variety of Ohuhu markers here in a variety of different greens. I've got a couple of gray alcohol markers as well. And then off to the side, I also have some distress ink because that'll be the final piece that we're going to do. Now, because of the style of the artwork, I will be adding some trees, and I don't have to be concerned that they need to be realistic. I can lean heavily into the whimsy, and I think it still would look okay. I think I'll put 2 on this side and then 1 on this side. I don't know that I'm going to put anything on the bottom. No, I won't, because I think the last thing we'll do is just kind of frame it out. When I show this picture again in my December completed pages, or maybe I can add this in November, because this video that you guys are watching will have gone up November 29th. I think that's my day. So yeah, when you see this again, it will be finished, because I do want to add some glitter gel pen to the lights here, but we're going to complete quite a bit today just so you can see my process. And so I'm going to take one of my lighter greens. I haven't tested this out. I do have a piece of paper behind it. This isn't a heavy cardstock, but it certainly is a smooth one. So I can't tell you what it is. It was just in my stash, but I did print it on there, and the markers loved it a treat. And we're just gonna go for it. I didn't pencil anything in. I am using the chisel end. I do have a chisel and a fine tip marker. And we're just gonna do some kind of witch's hat looking things. And I'm not so concerned right now about the color, because that can be adjusted. But I do want to have my edges be a little crisper. I'm also not one who cares if I get streaks with my alcohol markers. I always tell myself that's just texture. We will be doing some layering. So again, that's not the final product. They'll just give us our outline. And I only wanted to put one on this side because there's a lot of small spaces that I didn't want to have to contend with. But I do want to put the alcohol marker down first so that it can dry before we do our stenciling. I think we'll come in after the fact once all the color is down and add some line work with like a black pen of some kind. Okay, and we'll do the same here. So I'll have it come behind the house. And I could have gone a different route and put mountains behind here or something of that vein, but I wanted something that was pretty simple to do. It adds additional fullness to the picture, but doesn't necessarily detract from it. And again, I'm not worried about the coloring at this point. I just want to kind of flesh it out. Okay. And I don't know if we should do another short one, because if you look at the scale of the reindeer, they're quite small, so these are already quite large trees. So maybe we'll have another one like this. And again, the first one is kind of a witch's hat, or at least the cone of it. And because this is whimsical, this does not need to be perfect. And for this, I don't always color with my chisel tips. I prefer either a brush or the fine tip, but this actually works to our favor a little bit. Okay, so we've got the trees down. I don't know if I'm going to put a trunk just yet. We'll see. That was 59. Clearly the colors don't go in order because they seem to be darker as the numbers go down. But let's see if we can add some depth to this. You're probably wondering what the gray is for, but in my mind it should work, so we'll see. So we'll put it underneath the trunks here just to give it some definition. Okay. That actually looks really good so far, at least I think so. And let's see what this brings. That definitely is a lot darker. And it probably looks super hash. It might continue to look super hash, but again, we're trying a thing. Now, I think for some people, this would be just completely out of their comfort zone. And I'm not even talking about just adding your own elements to a page, but taking a page that was basically done, looked pretty good, at least in my opinion, and then putting on not just a background, but you're kind of making it up as you go along, because the fear is, well, now you could ruin it. And some of you might be thinking, oh girl, you're there. But I mean, this is supposed to be fun for me. It's a tool like a fork. I mean, not gonna lie, I've sometimes stabbed myself in the mouth with my fork, so tools can be dangerous. But I'm not gonna let it scare me, and Worst case scenario, I end up hating how this looks, but I'll have remembered the process and it'll give me a kind of, well, what not to do or what to do if I decide to do this again. And spoiler, I will decide to do this again because I'm kind of going to do the same thing in my next picture, but in that one, we'll do the finishing touches together. Okay, so let's take that original color that we had and let's see if we're not going to blend it out per se, but we can make it look a little better. At least my hopes are that. I think it's easier to blend out had I not done all of the same colors at the same time. And so if I had done this, then the medium, and then the dark, and then went over the light with it again while it's still wet, I think it's easier to get that blend. I think that's probably why Copics are so expensive, because they're easier to do that. I just want it to look a little bit more seamless. I don't need it to look completely flawless. Again, we're going for whimsy here, so I just wanted to make it look a little bit, yeah, more natural than it does. You can tell from this here to this here. So even with my limited skills, it certainly still works. Again, I'm not going to be worried if my edges are not crisp. It doesn't matter to me. And I think it actually adds to the whimsy of the page. Okay, so we've got those there. I'm going to take my lightest gray. This is my Art 101. I like these because they're thin. I don't like these because I've ruined so many of these because you have to get them into the cap in a very specific way. And if you don't, you just break it. And I have broken some. And instead of having to contend with trying to find the perfect shade of darker green, I'm just going to make this recede by graying this one out, because this one is behind this one, which is behind this. So this should be a little bit darker than the tree that's in front of it. And I think this one is darker than this one. I'm just going to do some... I didn't test any of these markers out beforehand, so I don't know how they're going to lay down on the page. And to be honest, it doesn't matter to me. If that is problematic, though, you may want to just test out your markers and how they blend together and the actual coloring of them. I don't have any of these swatched, and I won't have any of these swatched. And then I'm just adding it where the shadows would be. I actually think that looks kind of good. That is problematic back here, though. But if we use that to frame, then I'm only concerned about this part right here. So I have this color. Nope. And so let's just put this down here. Because again, I'm going to frame this out so I don't need it to extend all the way to the bottom, because it'll be outside of the frame. I'm going to do the same over here. It looks a bit weird now, but we can live with that. And let me get a Pigram Micron. Because I did the trees first before I'm putting the line art down, it's actually not going to be that much of a difference, but I know I can get a good line with this, and I'm not going to be too precious. I'm going to try to stay as clear as I can, or close as I can. But we're just going to give it some definition. And again, that's why I wasn't too fussed about making this perfect, because I want it to look like this was hand sketched. Not by Zoe, she does phenomenal work, but that I added this in myself. And that will dry in no time. Oh, I certainly like the way that it looks. I don't know that my coloring of it is as nice as it could be, but I don't swatch anything, so I didn't know how the colors were going to stack against each other. Plus, I like to use the same pen and then move to the next pen versus finish an element and then move to the next element. I think that one that's grayed out probably looks the best because it's all smudged together and you can't really see the lines. You know, okay, that doesn't work. I'm going to leave that as is right now. I'm going to leave this to the side because no, I should black it out now so I know where the edges are. Okay, so that's what I meant by I didn't need to color the whole thing because I'm framing this in. I like that it spills out, but I also don't have to be worried about any of the color around here. So now I'm going to get my stencil and my palette. As you guys know, I purchased some Holbeins several months ago, but I use this to put my ink down. And so I'm going to put some blues. I've got Blueprint Sketch and Mermaid Lagoon. Although this clearly is more Christmassy in nature, I don't think it pulls like full deep winter. There is a little bit of snow, but not a lot. So I'm not going to try to make this a wintry scene. It just really is about the reindeer antler. I'm going to smudge these together. I'm going to put my stencil down, and then I'm just going to lightly buff on some color. I'm going to move the stencil so that it doesn't look all the same. And it does give you a nice little horizon line with very minimal effort, which is what I like. And as you can see, I'm not putting more color on. I'm just basically going to buff this out as much as I can. And that's more of a laziness thing than an actual technique. It does go outside the stencil, but I don't care. So that's good for that color. I'm going to just put this to the side. I'm not even going to clean this off. I never do. I'm just going to get what I'm going to get. I do want to add some yellows and some oranges. This was fossilized amber and carved pumpkin. I don't know why I'm pretending like I'm that girl that gives you all the color names, but I guess for that I was that girl. And then we're going to do the same and just add some different colors in some of the spaces. I just think it makes it look interesting. Oh yeah, I like how that looks. And to me, it just brings a lot of dimension to the page. Again, I'm going outside the border, but who cares? But with very minimal effort. That's why more often than not, you'll see that I've used a stencil in the background, because I get a lot of payoff for very minimal effort. That's a super win-win to me. And see, doesn't that look like way more interesting with the two different colors? I think so. I don't know how useful this video was, but I did want to show you that at least the way that I'm going to approach this page and the next page I'm going to be doing, it is going to be very experimental in nature. I do have some thought processes behind it. When you do see this the next time, it will be completed. I will have finished out the lights here. I probably would have done some background and done their antlers there. But for me, the important part of this video was to show you how I was going to do the background. In the second video that I'll be doing in this series, I'll have the picture and the background done, and then we're going to be doing some additional touches. I don't want to call them finishing touches, because at any point of this, I could have left it. I could have just left the picture, called it finished. I could have just done the stencil background, called it finished. I could have just done the trees, no stencil background, call it finished. So I don't want to ever make people feel like, oh, you have to keep working on your picture because it's not finished yet. It's finished when you say it is. No one else gets to make that decision. So this isn't finished for what I want, but it's only going to be a little bit more. And then in the next video, like I said, we'll just be doing some of those additional touches just to show you what can be done to bring just some additional aspects to your page. All right, guys, well, that's it for me for now. Definitely go and check out the other ladies. I'd love to know what you thought of this process and the product that I've done. And as always, aloha.